right. Hearty good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you who've joined us here for this May edition of Utsahin, the Awakening Hearts. Our theme today is Universal Brotherhood. We all have been focusing on the various aspects of connecting from heart to heart through human values. As we know, the 9 human values, starting with trust and ending with love, enable us to connect from one individual to the other and understand that we are all a part of one universal family, also known as Vasudhaiva Kudumbam. Let us all today celebrate that moment of universal brotherhood, wishing everybody everywhere stays healthy, hearty, safe, and happy. We also have very special guests with us today. We have with us right now Sri Durga Kumarji, who's a great Mridangam artist, and we will shortly have with us Swami Satyalokananda, who will join us in a short while. We also have with us my very own father figure and uncle from my childhood, under whom I have been brought up, Sri Subhas Chandra Bhomik. Namaste to all our guests. Thank you. We will now start off our day and our program with a very brief introduction to our honorable guests after the understanding of the theme. And then our usual proceeds begin with the prayer. The theme of Universal Brotherhood deals with how human beings of all their possessions have the one highest possession that connects every one of us with each other. Do not be misled by the word brotherhood. Brotherhood, sisterhood, sorority, or fraternity, we are all one. And deep down there, from our souls, let us celebrate that oneness within us through this session. With that, let me kindly invite Raghuji to sing the prayer song.
Sangachatvam samvadatvam sambho manasi janata. Sangachatvam samvadatvam sambho manasi janata. Deva bhagam yatha purve sanjanana upasate. Deva bhagam yatha purve sanjanana upasate. Samano mantra samiti samani samanam manah sahachittamesha. Samaniva akudihi samana hridayaniva samanamastu. Om mano yathavah susahasati.
Namaste, all Utsahin. Thank you, Raghuram sir, for the soothing prayer. Today we have with us Sri Durga Kumar Garu, Mridanga Vidwan. He is a fond disciple of Sri T.V. Prasad Garu. Sri Durga Kumar Garu, known as a child prodigy and performing since he was 14. He has done an advanced course in Mridanga and given several performances, winning many awards and accolades from high-profile dignitaries. He has accompanied several legendary singers and instrumentalists while performing during his career. We welcome you, sir, to mesmerize us with your Mridang play.
Thank you, G. Durga Kumar Garu, that was really awesome and wonderful rhythmic beats with a lot of energy. Next is the segment on Utsahins, where Utsahins will share various messages. First, let's invite Prasanna Ji to render a poem.
Thank you, sir. Today's poem is Sandbox on a Beach. It's written by my son. So it goes like this. Summer of 2020, two little brothers were at the beach. Unlike every year, this time the water was out of reach. They went there every year to build sand castles on the shore. Now they were asked to watch from afar. Suddenly it said the world wasn't as safe anymore. Their uncle was a lifeguard, would watch them swim around. This year they were confined to a sandbox which they made out of an old lifeboat that ran aground. They could run around the beach house or sit in their sandbox by the sea. I'm watching you, said their uncle. It's not your fault, boys, but sadly punished you have to be. Their uncle sighed, thinking about the kids whose summer was taken, because the adults who lived before them could never care for the planet more, and yet they don't seem to be awakened. The brothers looked dejected. They could see the shiny sand surface after it was kissed by the incoming tide. They could feel the breeze on their faces, but their masks wouldn't let them smell, even if they tried. They sat and watched the sunset. They sat and watched it rise, restricted to a sandbox when the sand outside seemed shinier to their eyes. It was not too long before they had a plan contrived soon. They decided to build a sand castle inside the sandbox with the smaller garden tools. They took turns to fetch water from their granny's garden hose into a plastic pail, then into the hull of their sandbox boat. They sat and watched the sunset. They sat and watched it rise. This time over the sandcastle, it stood proud inside, guarded by the gunwale of the hull, untouched by wind, water, and tide. The morning took them by surprise as they looked at their castle, still untouched there, as the past summers never let their castle stand for more than a night and a day. Our castles always disappear, but how is this one still here? Well, the boat protects our castle decks. It's like we have a fortress. Their lifeguard uncle could hear them talk, and a smile took over his face. Then suddenly he saw the brothers walk. Then he saw them race. So let's hope we all get some positivity out of this entire negativity. Thank you for listening to me. Over to Jia ma'am.
Namaste and good evening to all. So here I am to share my story. In fact, it is a culmination of all my experiences, which I've made it as a story. So here I go. So when I was in school, my friend used to borrow my books to complete his notes when used to miss his classes, and then without my knowledge, he also happened to copy my essay, which I had written down and which he presented for one of his essay competition, which then he later won. Then I felt very hurt, deeply pained by which I had made my own with my hard efforts. I realized it was sheer stealing. Then I went into college. Many of my friends told me that their research records had been taken by their professors and then published as their own. Even in corporate nowadays, when we are working, we hear a lot of things like that, where researchers are making new and new things, and then somebody else takes their efforts and then makes it as their own. Even many authors complain about plagiarism. So it is very natural that we have to work in any type of such situations, but then we have to deal with them in a practical manner. So once a bird asked a honeybee, "Hey, you work so hard to make honey. You toil around. You put a lot of hard work and efforts. Don't you feel sad when man comes and steals all your honey?" And then this honeybee gave a fantastic reply. It says, "Yes, I feel very sad at that moment. But then I remind myself, a man can only steal my honey, but he can't steal my art of making honey." So friends, whatever happens, But what we possess in us is way beyond an essay, all these records and stuff. People can at best steal our creativity, our creation, but not our creativity. They can copy our technique, but not our talent. They can actually imitate what we are doing, but not the art of our ability to inspire others. So let's, friends, focus and grow on things which cannot be stolen and let everything else be a manifest result of it. Nobody can take our talent and potential away from us. Let's not the mean moves of people take away our enthusiasm. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Vijaya.
Go to Nidhi.
Yeah, thank you. Since it's the month of where we observe Buddha Purnima, this year it falls on 26th May. It's also called the Buddha Jayanti, or the thrice blessed day, the day where Lord Buddha was born, found enlightenment, and also attained salvation. I thought I will read out some teachings of Buddhism. So Buddha's teachings are known as Dhamma. Buddha taught wisdom, kindness, patience, generosity, and compassion were important virtues. Buddhists live by 5 moral precepts, which prohibit killing living things, taking what not is given, sexual misconduct, lying, using drugs or alcohol. The 4 noble truths which Lord Buddha taught are the truth of suffering, dukkha, the truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya, the truth of the end of suffering, nirodha, the truth of the path that frees us from suffering, which is called magga. And to conclude, I will read out the truths that could be achieved by following any of these eightfold path. In no particular order, it is right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, which is sati, right concentration, which is samadhi. Thank you. Over to Yash.
Thank you so much. I'm here with a story. This happened last May. So what will you do if you see a fully grown monkey staring at you? Right, this happened immediately after I stepped out of my bathroom after taking bath. It is the least thing one will expect, right? A fully grown monkey sitting there in the middle of the hall staring at you. Now, ideally, I would have panicked, but then my mother and an aunt of us were in kitchen. So if they enter the scene, things would be upside down. I didn't know what to do. Catching my towel, I was walking past the monkey. Now there is some miracle calmness in this monkey. It was staring at me. I was staring at the monkey. So that calmness in the monkey made me calm. And I was thinking why the monkey was here. And there was this bright yellow beckoning bananas on the dining table. So I immediately understood. It's not only lockdown time for us, it's also for the monkeys. They're not finding food outside. And that's why it sauntered in. So I took those bright bananas and slowly walked to the door side. The monkey smoothly followed me and took those bananas outside the house, and immediately I locked the door. Now, this is the story of calmness that a monkey taught me. Had the monkey panicked, I would have definitely panicked. Had I panicked, monkey would have definitely panicked. And the situation would have been blown out of control. And I am really thankful for that monkey for teaching me that story to me. Over to you, Anirban sir.
Thank you, Yash. Today, I'm here to share with all of you a simple message on how to give and receive feedback. Oftentimes in life, we have the opportunity of both giving feedback to others and receiving feedback to others. And very importantly in this process is the ability to give and receive feedback with compassion, with love, and in a manner that the receiver is improved and not impacted. So here's where I would give you a very simple formula for which the technique is called SBIR, also known as situation, behavior, impact, and response. I will give you two scenarios of how, for the same situation, feedback is given in two different ways. One, with humanity, compassion, and brotherhood, and another, without the human element, where it is given in a very curt manner. Let us see in which case is the participant and the receiver of the feedback more liable to act upon it. Situation one. Let's say Prasanna ji here, who's one of our very popular Utsahins when it comes to giving the vote of thanks, is rendering the vote of thanks. That's the situation. Two, the behavior. Let's say she missed giving feedback to two of our fellow Utsahins. Let's say Charan and Yesh were not thanked, but all the others were very wonderfully thanked. Now let's look at the feedback that she was given at that instance of time, and let's look at its impact. So situation and behavior are understood. Behavior is she gave feedback and vote of thanks, but she did not speak about Charan's and Yash's contributions. The impact. Let's say the feedback given to Prasanna is, Prasanna, you caused much heartburn and pain. Charan and Yash were seriously disrespected. You have been very irresponsible and insensitive to fellow Utsahins. Now, what do you think the response or the remedy from Prasanna will be? She will not be in the mood of giving a response, but she will go into reaction. One, she could possibly apologize to them, and then let's say the feedback given is, here on, prepare a vote of thanks document and share on how you will be ensuring that this won't happen again. Now, whereas the SBIR, the situation, behavior, impact, and response was followed, the way the feedback was given lacked humanity. Let's look at a secondary way. The same situation, Prasanna ji delivers a nice vote of thanks but misses a couple of people. Now let's say the feedback is thus given. Prasanna, you delivered a very warm vote of thanks covering all the guests and several Utsahins. This was the situation, but the behavior that you showed exhibited a little bit of nervousness, and you probably missed Charan and Yash. Impact was that, and remember, this is the coaching moment. What is the impact? Prasanna must be able to appreciate it. It should be given in a manner that she absorbs it and does not become defensive. So feedback will be something like, how would you have felt if someone did not acknowledge your contribution? Remember, all our fellow Utsahins need to feel connected and appreciated. And in response and remedy is the coaching moment where you don't mentor or give her instructions, but rather give her a feeling of love and connectedness and invite her to suggest what she could do to remediate. Do you suggest you would want to speak to them or send them a thank you note along with everybody else? And ask her a powerful question. What could you have done differently? And what support do you think you need from us so that this does not repeat in the future? Notice, the second also followed the situation, behavior, impact, response style, but it was with humanity. Remember, feedback is to improve, not to incite. Feedback is to indicate what went wrong, not to indict someone. Feedback is to support, not to subordinate. Feedback is to supplement, not to subjugate. Feedback is for enabling, not for overpowering. Feedback is for empowering, not for controlling. Feedback is to share mutual respect, not to reprimand. Feedback is to enjoy freedom, not to give constraints. That's why I'll end my message with a little poem that I wrote in this situation. When you give feedback, be sensitive, be human. Coach if you can, mentor if you must. Critique doesn't help a man unless you gain their trust. Enable yourself with compassion, care, and affection. Restrain yourself from indifference to apathetic action. For the foundation of all relationships is in human values. Apply the 9 from your heart, and humanity induce. Likewise, when you receive feedback, be thankful to the giver. They have taken the care and the attention to choose to improve you. And thus, instead of reacting, respond. Accept the feedback politely and with a note of gratitude. Whether you act on the feedback or not can be decided later. Reflect on it and then make changes if you deem fit. If not, that acceptance and being in gratitude alone is enough. So that was a brief message on giving and receiving feedback. Now we will all reflect for 1 minute on these messages and poems that we just heard. Utsahin logo, please. We also would be very, very happy to introduce our guest who's joined us, Swami Sri Satyalokananda ji. Pranams Maharaj. Moment of reflection.
Thank you all. Let me again invite our guest, Mridang Vidwan, Sri Durga Kumar Garu, for another rendition. Thank you so much, sir, for captivating us.
Opportunity. Thank
We
you
all
very much.
felt
Thank you all. Thank you very much all. Thank you for the great opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for captivating us. We all
Yes.
felt entranced on listening to your fascinating rhythmic, energetic beats.
Yes, madam.
Now I welcome our esteemed guest, Swami Satyalokananda, with honor. I take privilege in providing a little brief about him. Swami Satyalokananda is a monk and vice president of the Ramakrishna Mission in Singapore, and he is also managing the Sarada Kindergarten. Born in Japan, Swamiji graduated from Kobe University. During these days, he learned about the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, which inspired him in order at BelurMath and received mantradiksha from Swami Vireswarananda. He continued his training and received brahmacharya and sannyasa. In his services to Advaita, his contribution at Sarada Kindergarten made it the best in Singapore. He takes regular classes on Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, and Vedanta literature and spreads the message. Once again, welcome Swamiji to enlighten us from his divine experience. Welcome, sir.
Namaskars to Utsahin members and also friends. Let me start from the mantra. Om Sangachadvam Samvadadvam Sambho Manasi Janatam Deva Bhagan Yatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate Samano Mantra Samiti Samani Samanam Manat Sahachittamesham Samanam Mantram Abhimantrayevat Samanena Vo Havisha Juhomi Samani Vakuti Samana Hridayani Vahat Sama namastu mano yatha susahasati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may we be united in heart. May we be united in speech. May we be united in mind. May we perform our duties as did the wise men of old. May we be united in our prayer. May we be united in our goal. May we be united in our resolve. May we be united in our understanding. May we be united in our offering. May we be united in our feelings. May we be united in our hearts. May we be united in our thoughts. May there be perfect unity amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. This is a famous mantra on harmony. Appeared in the oldest scriptures in the world, namely Rig Veda. As all of you know, I'm sure, there are many mantras which stresses brotherhood, or rather oneness, of all beings in the Vedas. Apart from Vedas, we have a famous saying like Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Ekaniram, where the world becomes a single nest, and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is one single family. Not only Hinduism, but also other religions. This time I was very much particular about Buddhism because I was asked to speak a bit of Buddhism. So in the Buddhism, the most famous prayer is called Maitri Bhavana or Metta Bhavana. It's a wonderful prayer where you send out the loving kindness, in Pali Metta, in Sanskrit Maitri. This is an active goodwill towards all beings, including those who are in heaven and also hell, not only the beings in this universe. Then, establishing that metta, it goes to the karuna, compassion. You see, identifying the suffering of others as one's own. The one of the pillars, strong pillars of Buddhism is karuna. Then, mudita, empathic joy, feeling of joy because others are happy. There is not a single touch of jealousy in this. Then, upekka or upeksha, even-mindedness, and serenity, treating everyone impartially. These are called the Brahma Vihara, 4 sublime states. And this is a meditation practice they do, and then they have to establish one after another. Then you attain, they say, the Brahma Loka, according to them. So, apart from Buddhism, as you know, in Christianity, there is a famous saying that it's a commandment. They said the God commands. In the Old Testament, you have this, thou shalt not hate thy brother. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. They're very famous. So they also have the universal brotherhood ideas. And then other religions too, they have. Now, the word universal brotherhood is a beautiful word, very sweet, but everyone knows that it is not at all easy to practice. Literally, only one who has enlightened can practice. Others are rather trying to practice this wonderful idea. After the world was faster, the many countries, they felt the peace should be there, harmony should be there among the world, in the world. So they created the League of Nations. But actually, what happened? It didn't function at all. Rather, they are called the League of Tigers and the Lions, ever ready to pounce on other nations. And then now we have the United Nations. And all of us know how it is functioning. Yes, it does function, but defects are many. We want much more stronger United Nations, which can be impartial. Everybody can feel the oneness with all. Now, to establish brotherhood, why difficult? Just you reflect yourself. In your family, do you have peace? I have seen many, including the devotees' families. Only, I can say, not very few, but more than half, they are not living in harmonious way, unfortunately. And then it is understandable, because in your great epic, Mahabharata, what is there? Among brothers, among cousins, the war. Not only that, even in our Ramakrishna missions, Sangha Janani, Holy Mother, in her family, those who have led will know, brothers were so quarrelsome, always troubling mothers. Not only brothers, the relatives, nieces. It's a terrible situation. Holy Mother was literally surrounded by lunatic people, if we say. So even the saints' family also, to establish the harmonious brotherhood is almost impossible. Then how we can establish? So, do you know this? I said the word, famous word, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Before that, there is the word, Ayan Nijaha, Paroveti, Ganana Laguchetasa, Udara Charitanam tu, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam says. Ayan Nijaha, this is my people, Paroveti, that are strangers. This is a calculation of the small-minded, narrow-minded people, says. But for the magnanimous people, the entire earth is but a family. So, most of us, we haven't grown from the limited our body-mind complex, and then always differentiate or devise. It's called Veda Buddhi, not Aveda, but Veda. And we discriminate according to race, religions, wealth, color, or sex, and whatnot. So as long as we have this Veda Buddhi, we can never achieve universal brotherhood. And to achieve this, we must realize oneness behind all. At least know theoretically. Without knowing this oneness, which only the Advaita Vedanta preaches, and based on that, all the moral, ethical values come. You can't attain real universal brotherhood. So first, we have to start from our mind. We can't think of others because our mind is a trouble. First, we have to establish peace in our mind. Then only we can speak the brotherhood to others. So, for this, our Swami Vivekananda gave a wonderful teaching. That is the idea of practical Vedanta. Swamiji was very much particular. The theory of Vedanta must be practical, otherwise no value. He was the one, he spread this Vedantic ideas to all without discrimination because he was convinced if anyone knows about this truth, the person becomes better. He said, if the fisherman knows he is a spirit, he will be a better fisherman. If the student knows he is the spirit, he will be a better student. So he said, this idea should be practical. And his purpose, in this way he declared, my idea is to preach unto mankind their divinity and how to make it manifest in every movement of life. So, spiritualizing everyday life. This is the aim. Swamiji worked hard and gave us so many wonderful ideas. Now, practical Vedanta, when we say, what is the best scriptures? It is the Gita. Gita tells us the gist. The Gita is the essence of Upanishads. So, Upanishad here, practical Vedanta, when we say, we are telling about practical Advaita Vedanta, which declares we are Atman, we are Brahman, we are one. Behind many, there is absolute one. From this oneness, your universal brotherhood comes. So, this practical Advaita Vedanta, how to do? In the chapter 4 of the Gita, the Krishna speaks about the idea of Raja Rishis. And this idea of Raja Rishi, Swami Ranganathananda ji was fond of that. Krishna tells the yoga, this yoga was succeeded by the Raja Rishis. But because of long lapse of time, it was lost. And then Shankara tells why lost? Because it was handed to the Durbalam, Ajitendriya Prapya, Yogo Nashta Parantapa says. one who doesn't have the strength of will, agitendriya, one who does not control, sense control is not there. Such people are not fit to receive this teaching. He says that. And this Raja Rishi, they have taught, apart from sages in the Upanishads, you can find many sages. They are called the Raja Rishis. They are enlightened king. At the same time, they are rishis. So they are not just sitting people. They are very much active people in the world, just like prime minister of the country. The king is a businessman. And then he has the rishi's wisdom. So here Raja stands for the spirituality, wisdom. Rishi stands for the spirituality. And the Raja stands for the power. So how to use this power? That is a very, very important point. And then Ranganathanji tells, this Raja Rishi is not limited to the olden days Raja Rishis, but now everyone can be a Raja Rishi because everybody has power, from child to the prime minister. Everybody has power. Maybe the limited, small power, but they do have power. I tell, as I was introduced, I look after the kindergarten. And then we have children from 3 years to 6 years old. Do you know they do have power? See, if some of them were spoiled one, they can easily sit on their parents' head. They can dictate them. They know. And I often give example of Pyun, one of our devotees, who told me quite some time ago. So he had a project and he had to submit this project to the government office. Now he went and the Pyun asked, say, you give me some bribe, some money. Then I'll put your file on the top of the desk of the officer. Otherwise, you will never get a chance. So even Pyun also has. And everybody wants. So how to use this? That is the point. If you have a wise wisdom, and if you think others, you will use it properly. So here comes the another important point. Swamiji stressed, along with other things, Tyaga and Seva, he said. Renunciation and service. So, Tyaga, when we say Tyaga, you see, not renouncing the world, but renouncing the lower self, and then manifesting your higher self. Sri Ramakrishna beautifully told, Kachami Choreda, your unripe ego, you throw away your unripe ego and manifest your ripe ego. That is this Tyaga. And then we should know, if your ego is too strong and you think only your selfish ideas, you cannot live in this world. You can't survive at the cost of society. The society can't survive at the cost of country. And the country can't survive at the cost of the world, universe, nature. Now we are feeling the pinch from the nature. What we have committed, many, many years of sins. And then we are now suffering. Nature is paying back to us. But still, we are not serious. Children are more serious about this. So here, just as I want to share the one Buddhist idea. Now, you can see, can you see? I'll go a little behind. Now I am wearing this jama or kurta, you can say. So this, from this, we can relate to many things. Now, this shirt I'm wearing, I got it from Calcutta. Someone brought to me, and then I dyed it in Singapore. Now, just this much can relate to the whole universe. Buddhism, this observe the simple fact and lead us to the profound truth. Now, just you think, this shirt was stitched by a tailor. So before this shirt, there must have been the cloth. This is a cotton. So before the textile, cotton textile come into the hands of tailor, it was in the shop. Before that, it was in the factory. And before that, it was in the field. Some farmers must have grown the cotton. So if you think this line, you can see how from the cotton it came to me, but in between, how many people are involved? Actually, if you think, billions of people are involved. How come? Each man's existence behind parents are there. And then parents. In that way, we can go back to almost ad infinitum. At the same time, somebody brought this cotton to Singapore. By plane he came. That means plane must be made. Who has made? How the idea came? This itself involves so many people. And then cotton to grow, you must have sun, you must have water. So just simply this shirt is connected to the whole universe. So each one of us, whatever we have, we are using, we are related to the whole universe. This is called the philosophy of interpenetration. In Mahayana Buddhism, there is a school called Avatansaka, Huayan philosophy. And then they have this main canon. It's called the Avatansaka Sutras. In this is described. So you think deeply this idea, meditate on that. What you will understand? Your existence itself a miracle. And each one of us, that also miracle. Everybody, everything, to the minute cell, reflecting everything in this world, each other. So that is a philosophy. So this, you must think deeply. Then the enlightened one tells, if you meditate on this and you can go delve into your own, they don't say self, but if you go to the depth, everything will come. And they say, so each dust reflects the Buddhas. Each minutest dust, you can say, is reflecting the Buddhas, millions of Buddhas. And this whole universe is made of that millions of Buddhas. So by this, you can easily give up your tiny ego. Don't you think so? If you think deeply, how we are related, how precious each one of us. So if we do this, whatever we do become the spiritual sadhana. Convert all work into service of all beings. This is a message. And Swami Vivekananda, before going to Chicago, he met Swami Turiyananda and said, Haribai. So Turiyananda was called Hari Maharaj. So he said, very surprising words, I am still unable to understand anything of your so-called religion. Swamiji telling this. And next, but my heart has expanded very much. And I have learned to feel. Believe me, I feel intensely indeed. His self become the self of all. He has become one. That's why many people say, by the way, Universal Brotherhood, you see, some of our centers observe on 11th September, when Swamiji spoke at the Chicago Parliament of Religions. And very famous first words he uttered, sisters and brothers of America. Then tremendous clapping that continued long time. Before him, many people told about same words, but nobody. After him too. Why Swamiji? Because Swamiji's words are coming from the depth of his soul, who has realized. So that touched the hearts of all. They say that. So when we read Swamiji's words, even now, as Roman Roland said, electrifying. The power of spoken words of the saint, enlightened, it moves. So when Swamiji said, feel my children, feel for the poor, the ignorant, the downtrodden, feel till the heart stops and the brain reels and you think you will go mad. Then pour the soul out at the feet of the Lord, and then will come power, help, and indomitable energy. So here, Swamiji's enlightenment as one, oneness of all. This was very powerful and still moves people and then inspired him. There are many who has taken up his clarion call and then doing. Oh, yes. Namaskar. Okay, shall I
Maharaj,
stop now?
May I request you to summarize the message? Thank you.
Anyway, so now COVID-19 is creating havoc all over the world and especially in India. Now is the time to show your brotherhood. See, a bit of that. Other countries also sending oxygen cylinders and other necessary materials. That also the sign of or manifestation of a universal brotherhood. Time is short, Swami said. So we have to work. If you really think of universal brotherhood, first step is change yourself. Try to renounce your kachami, your unripe ego, and slowly manifest your higher self. So with these words, I conclude with prayer. Om sarve bhavantu skinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhave. Jai Ramakrishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Pranams.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
Thank you for your very wonderful message on universal brotherhood, cutting across multiple disciplines from Buddhist values to Christian values to our own Maha Upanishad, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, through the simple example of your Jama, how it goes through from cotton down to the shop and over to you, and how it has been nurtured in the cotton plant by sun and soil. A wonderful example of how every one of us in the whole universe exists because of the universal feeling of brotherhood and through the support of everyone else. With that, we'll conclude our session today, and I thank every one of you, along with Durga Kumar Garu, who came and played the excellent Mirdangam, a wonderful set of energetic rhythmic beats. I thank every one of you who also gave wonderful messages. Prasannaji about the sandcastle, and the message I take is how God saves our sandcastles too throughout life. Let's be thankful. Vijayaji's story on how plagiarism must be, must never be able to beat our enthusiasm to inspire and keep inspiring. About Nidhiji's, Buddhist values of eightfold path, and about Yesh's story of how the mind needs to be in control, both from our monkey mind as well as from our more intellectual mind. And of course, the wonderful message of our guest speaker who spoke about how the whole universe is codependent on this feeling of brotherhood. Once again, signing off from Utsahin, we will now end this with our closing music. Thank you.
Yeah.